Hello everyone and welcome to today's session on GCP Part 2. Now, before we discuss our today's agenda, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon. So first, we will discuss about Cloud Architect. Then, we will discuss about regions and zones. Moving ahead, we will discuss about Web Console. Then, we will learn about creating virtual machine. And at the end, we will learn about creating storage.
The second one is how can I store some data? Storage and compute usually is the starting point for every learners. So what we'll try to do is we'll try to access these two resources, compute and storage, using four different options. The first one is web console, command line interface, which is more towards command line, client libraries, and REST APIs. We'll see all the four options, few demos, how to access how to create a virtual machine, how to create a storage. All those things we'll see. Before to that, we need to have some basics of Google's stuffs. They call it as regions. Usually when it comes to cloud computing, there are two concepts which usually comes, regions and zones. So GCP currently has 18 regions as of today. Maybe after 6 months, this number would definitely be more. So currently it has 18 regions and 25, like 55 zones. So regions are, in very, very simple terms, I would say groups of zones. And zones, in very simple terms, are nothing but data center, physical data center. So region is a specific geographical location. It could be something like these are the regions. Let me zoom this a bit for you guys. So there are 18 regions in which currently Google operates. If you're from India, Mumbai is one of the regions which is there, and all these blue icons indicates these are generally available regions, and the one which is in white are upcoming regions. And the number inside that indicates the number of zones. Zones are nothing but physical data centers. So in Mumbai, there are three data centers. I really don't know in which part of Mumbai where the data centers are available, but in Singapore, I'm aware there's one specific place called as Jurong East. So there's one data center there. So similarly, there are two more data centers in Singapore. So as such, you have regions. Regions are made up of zones, and most of the regions have three zones except one region called as US Central or Iowa, where it has four zones. So that's the base stuff, because we may need this in our demos, because whenever you're provisioning a resource, it will be in a specific region or it could be in a multi-region. So for that purpose, I wanted to share you this information. So as of today, there are 18 regions and 55 zones. So coming back to our web console. So this is your web console. Same like, yeah, it's very much similar to your AWS. Most of the stuffs, it would be somewhat similar. Some of the terminologies, like there it is called as availability zone. So that's how it is called as. So very similar to your AWS stuffs. Now, so once you have your console, this is you have a dashboard which indicates what is your project name, project ID, all those details, and it also has few resource information, whether is there any resource you have provisioned, some getting started guides, and some documentation. One of the important thing in this dashboard, I would say, is this platform status, whether all the services are up and running. Just click on this to see is there any service disruption or any outages on the various products and services which we saw, App Engine, Compute Engine, BigQuery. And if you see in Kubernetes Engine, there was a service disruption on January 24th. There was a disruption. So that's what it mentions. If you want more details, click on this to know what was that information details, what was the problem and when it was started. It started on 23rd of January and it was resolved here. So you'll get that full detail. So this would be an information helpful when you're doing something in production. If something is not working, come to this cloud status, platform status, to see every service is up and running. If it is down, then it is nothing to do with your application, but something to do with the platform itself. So that's the information with respect to this dashboard. And these dashboards are draggable dashboards. So if you like, you want to move it to different place, you can do it. But this is a nice sleek dashboard. You'll also have this free trial status. If you just click on this, it will show you this part. What is your status? Never ever click on this activate or update button. So they have just made it a change. It is activate now. Previously it was upgrade. So never ever do this. If you do this, it will start cross charging in your credit card. Just dismiss it. So that's a small tip which I wanted to share. There's other few stuffs which we'll discuss as time comes. Now what we'll do is we will not use the project which Google created for us. This is my first project. This is a container, a logical container in GCP. If you're coming from AWS world, there's some concept called as accounts. Whatever you do it inside that account. If you're from Azure, there's a concept of subscription. Whatever you do, it's under a subscription. Similarly, in GCP, any activity which you do that inside a project. So how do you create a project? Click on this drop down. You should see a create new project. Before creating that, let's look at the structure. So if you are using a free tier account, you will have no organization. What is organization? So if your organization purchases GCP product, their name will be available here. Something like, let's assume abc.com is the organization name. So it will be an entity here. It will show there, and all the employees under that, if you have upgraded or like added all those username, they'll be able to create use GCP thing. So in that case, your account, in this case, for example, I have used a Gmail ID which is like learning.gcp2019 at the rate gmail.com. If your organization has purchased this, then it will be like Mahesh at the rate abc.com. It would be something like that. It would be at the rate yourcompany.com would be your ID with which you would have logged into your Google console. So let's not use this one. Let's create a new project, brand new project, so that we know how to create the project also. That's the key stuff. Click on project, new project. You'll get this. You have around 24 project quotas remaining, I guess. In free tier, maximum is 25 projects you can create. If you activate to a full paid account, you don't have any limit on the number of projects you can create. So let's give a name, learning GCP. So that's our project name. This is your human readable name. The moment you do this, under your this thing, it shows you something called as project ID. This is dynamically generated by the system, and this is globally unique. And this name comes from a pool of names. So later tomorrow, like maybe tomorrow, if you delete this or shut down this project and you create another project with the same name, project ID would be different. Where we discuss about networking, why the project ID needs to be unique. At that time, I'll show you the details. But for now, remember the project ID has to be globally unique. If you do something like that, let's say for example, test, it will give you a randomly generated name which is of this form, but this is again unique. If you do the same stuff in your screen like test, the ID would be something totally different. If you something give a very nice name, say for example, learning-gcp-mahesh. The project ID and the project name would be very almost the same because this is very unique. But if you just give it as demo 123, these are something generic. Everybody will use the same stuff, standard one. So it will give an ID which is like auto generated. So let's give learning GCP itself should be good enough. It is giving adding few numbers, like I guess it is adding a specific random number to make it unique. If you want, you can try to edit it. If you try to, you can add numbers, that should be okay. And because we are using free tier account, there's no organization. So with that information, let's click create. If things all go well, you should see a project created. This is your notification window, which shows a project is getting created. So our project is created. So if you click on this, you will get into your project will change from my first project to learning GCP. Tomorrow, if you want go to back to a different project, just click on the drop down and you can switch. That's one thing. And the important thing which you need to remember is what is your project ID. This is your project ID, which you can get it from the home screen. Just click on this Google Cloud Platform. It will take you to the home screen and it will show you the project. Under project information, you will see that project ID. So if you see, you gave the project name, project ID was generated by the system. There's one more thing which you see, project number. This is again automatically created by the system. This is used again for something called as service accounts, which we'll discuss in module 4. That is the only place where you'll see project number being used and no other places. Project ID would be used extensively throughout all the stuffs. Whenever you create resource, it will ask in which project I should create. So you need to pass this information every time. So remember this. If you don't remember it, no worries. Come to the home screen, see this or click on this drop down. You should see this ID. That is another way. The third way, which is my favorite way, is look in this address bar. Just a URL hack where you can see what is your project ID. If I switch to my project, my first project ID will change. So very easy way, because you'll be doing demos. Address bar will always be there. Just copy it from the address bar. That's how I do it. But the other better ways are just look into the project info. You'll see that. So we are in our project which we had created. What we'll do is we'll create a compute engine using web console. What you see is your web console. So to access your compute engine, click on this hamburger menu. So if you see this for a longer time, just do a hard refresh in your browser. Let's see whether the APIs are enabled. And these are live demos. I'm not doing a canned demo. So sometimes the demo may break, and we'll also do a debugging on that. So that's how you will learn. So the APIs are enabled. So you see that create button. Just click on create. And this is just an introduction class. We will have a deep dive on the compute engine where we'll see what is this machine type, what is this container, what is boot disk, all those things will go in detail. But for now, this is just an introduction class. We just want to get our hands dirty by provisioning a simple virtual machine. We'll just give a name and maybe select a specific region and a zone. That's it. We'll not go into the nitty-gritties of, okay, what is this firewall rule? What is this? We'll not do that. So for now, just let's try to understand how to use the web console. That's our main aim. So let's give a name like learning. Because this is Google Compute Engine, let's try to use this acronym GCE. In the exam, sometimes they will use acronym. Let's get used to those terminologies. Google Compute Engine. So learning hyphen GCE. That's what is the name of our virtual machine. Region, as I mentioned, you have 18 regions. What we'll do is we'll select Mumbai region. When you select Mumbai, you will see 3 zones. Select any zone of your choice. And because we are using a free tier, this is my small tip. Try to create with a small compute option so that even if you forget, because you are doing this for the first time, there's a high chance you create a VM and forget it, not to shut it down, it will incur cost. So if you select micro VM, on your right hand side, you see the price details, one vCPU and 3.75 GB of memory. You need to pay $30 or roughly $29 per month. If you forget stopping it. But if you make it micro, you'll be just paying $5 per month. So this could be a small tip. That's the thing which I wanted to give. So give a name, select the region of your choice, make it micro, and by default, the operating system would be Debian Linux OS operating system. If you want, if you're a Windows guy, click on this change and you can change the boot disk. What you want, whether a specific different distribution you want, you can select, or if you're a Windows guy, select a Windows operating system of your choice. But for us, just a Linux machine should be good enough. The reason why I'm going with Linux is it is free. It will not incur additional cost. If you select Windows, your price will go up again because you need to pay for the license. These are enterprise software. Free is, Windows are not free. Maybe I can quickly show you that. You see micro VM, its operating system is Debian, it is 5. If you change this to Windows, it will add the license cost. Let me select Windows 2016. You should see it increased to $21. And if you click on the details, you should see the license fee. So it's not free. We'll discuss more on this. For now, let's go back to our default Debian operating system. So all good. You can just click create, but I'm not going to do that. I want to share some other information before I click on create. So the first thing which I want to share is this two stuffs, command line and REST APIs. So we know there are four options of accessing GCP resource, right? One is web console, other one is command line, REST APIs, and client libraries. So this would give you a hint for that. Just click on this command line. Let me just zoom this for a little bit for your better visibility. So, so this is your command line option to provision a virtual machine. So what does it stands for? G Cloud, Google Cloud compute. What is your project ID? You see that project ID is getting started using. What you're trying to do, you are creating an instance create. And what is the name of your instance? What is the zone? What is the machine type? You have lots of details which you can provide here. So this is how you can provision your resource from command line. If you want to run this command directly, there's an option which I'll show you later using something called as Cloud Shell. For that, I need to explain you what is Cloud Shell. We'll come to that later. So this is one option. You will know what is your G Cloud command. This is a very, very handy option. Tomorrow you change certain stuffs because going forward, once you get used to it, every time you'll not come to the console and provision a resource. You want to automate it by using a script. So running this will be a good option. Like give a various options, click on the command line, and you should be able to see the option for that. So that's one option. So this is your REST API form. So where you can provision your resource programmatically, like if you use a curl command or utilities like Postman, which is an add-on in Chrome browser, you can just use this, authenticate it, and provision your resource. The important line which you see, it's a post command. It is googleapis.com/compute. So this is the important stuff. So you can provision resource easily. Just fill the form. You should get the updated REST API information or command line option. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click create, and the instances gets provisioned in few seconds, like maximum 20 seconds or 30 seconds. That's it. That is that blazing fast in GCP, which is not the case with AWS and Azure. The reason is Google has its own fiber broadband across the globe. That's the key stuff. As I'm talking, the resource is provisioned, and you see that green tick. It's not just provisioning. I can just click on SSH in the browser. I don't need any third-party SSH client like Putty. If you're from Windows, if you're using Windows machine, just click on this SSH option, which is from the browser itself, and you can log into the virtual machine directly without setting up any keys or transferring any keys. AWS, it's a pain. Similarly, it's Azure, it's a pain. But in GCP, if you want to access Linux machine, it's damn easy. And I'm all good. I'm in the machine. I'm going to update the operating system. And because it's a Debian, I'm going to do it. You see, in few minutes, I'm able to update all the stuffs and I can do everything. So that's how easy it is. So let me leave this as is. GCP will not automatically select the preferred zone. You need to specify the zone where you want to create. But one option is, say for example, if you're working for a project, for example, in this project learning-GCP, all the resources which you're going to provision will be always in Mumbai. What you can do is Scroll down to the settings. You have an option where you can set what is your region. So every time you provision a resource, it will always create it in South, which is Mumbai, and in Asia South 1B zone only. That is possible. You can set your preference. So in for a specific project. That way, it will next time when you create a new resource, it will be always showing that drop down updated. So that is one way where you can select your specific zone. But Google will not give you automatically selected. So you need to set your preference. So it's updated. If I just do, I'll just show you one more option of creating one more time. Edge location comes only when you are working with storage or where you want to cache stuffs. So we know Google has 18 regions and 55 zones. These are the 134 edge locations. So what it means is it's called as point of presence. So if you see in India, there are three edge point of presence. So if you want to enter Google's network, it is in Mumbai, Delhi, and Chennai. So these are the point of presence where you can enter Google's this thing, Google's edge point of presence. So data center, don't get confused with a data center. So once you get into this, you will get, there's only three data centers for GCP in Mumbai. So that is your zones. So don't get confused with the other data center concept. Like if you see in Asia, in Singapore, there is a data center. This data center is not for your GCP stuffs, but it is for GCP, but the other stuffs like when you are serving a request for YouTube, Gmails and all in EMEA, it is coming from Singapore data center. That is it. That is for your end user products. But for GCP, it is called as zones. It is not called as data center. So if you if you again create a new instance this time, you see the regions is not updated. This is because the UI is not refreshed. Let me do a hard refresh. If I do a hard refresh and when I try to create a new VM, you see the region and the zone is preset because of my preference setting. That's the thing. So that's one way of creating your virtual machine. We have created a virtual machine. Looks good. Now what we'll do is after compute, the next thing usually people try to do is storage. So let's create a storage. So one option is click on the hamburger menu, scroll down to storage, where you can click on the storage, Google Cloud Storage. That is one option. The second option is you can use the search option. Just search for storage. You can click it. It's your choice how you want to navigate. So it is very similar to your AWS S3 buckets where you can create your bucket. So you need to create a bucket. It's like a container. Give a name and the name has to be globally unique. The reason is whenever you have any storage bucket, it can be made public. The bucket can be made public and the resource in that can be accessible publicly. So if it's accessible publicly, it is accessed via a URL, and URL by default has to be unique. So for that reason, you need to make your bucket name globally unique. So if you just give test, it will not, it will say it is already in use. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, it will be again used. So try to give a new unique name. So recommendation is you can use your project ID itself as your bucket name. It says it is good. The Ajax call is done and it says it's a valid one. For or if you want, you can do it like this, GCS. Let's see. Yeah, it's a good name. Learning Google Cloud Storage. That's the stuff. And you can have your buckets in various options, like in various, the storage option could be in multiple regions or in a specific region. If you have multiple region, it could be US, Europe, Asia, that is possible. In regions, it will show you those 18 regions and you have various storage classes. We'll discuss those things in detail in our storage section. But for now, let's give a name and just click on create. It should create a bucket. So we have a bucket learning hyphen GCS. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just slightly delete this name. I'll just delete it. I'll tell you the reason why I'm deleting it. Let's create a bucket. There's nothing like country here. There's no concept of country. It's region, multi-region only. So you'll be selecting Mumbai as one of the regions if you want storage. And I'll mention the way I created it. It is using web console. So name is there. So if you want regional, then it could be in Mumbai. If you want, you can select Mumbai and it will create in Mumbai region. Or if you want multi-region, this is for to make your data accessible easily across the globe. So for now, let's leave as default and it is multi-regional and let it be in US. Just click create. You have the bucket created, learning hyphen Google Cloud Storage, and it has been created using Web Console. Let's upload a file. That's damn easy. Just click on upload, click a file. That's it. You have the file here. And if you want to make it public, you can make the object public and give access to it. More on this in our storage class. Let's not go much deeper. The only intent of this introduction is to get our hands dirty, how to use the various options, how to use web console, all those things. That's the only reason. Now we have created our first part. That is, we have at least now have a good understanding how to use web console to provision various resources, in particular compute engine and storage.
Just a quick info, guys. If you want to make a career in cloud computing, then Intellipaat provides an advanced certification on cloud and DevOps by IIT Madras. This course is taught by industry experts and IIT Madras faculty. This course is designed to upskill and land your dream job. Now let's continue with the session.